everyone. Thank you for viewing my virtual presentation on enhancing student experience, designing asynchronous digital competency workshops. My name is Susannah Sinclair, and I'm the CRM and Digital Communications Manager at the Bryn Mawr College Graduate School of Social Work and Social Research. In this presentation, we'll be looking at a project called the Digital Competency Workshops, both as an intervention tool and as a model for creating workshops of this nature in other higher education institutions and other organizations. Our agenda today is divided into 5 sections: digital intervention, identified student need, design, components, and a tech demo. So what are the digital competency workshops? They're an online, asynchronous learning environment designed to address identified inequities in students' digital literacy. What do I mean by digital literacy? In this context, I'm defining digital literacy as it relates to students' ability to successfully navigate technology used in a graduate program, the minimum standard of which is that their technical ability does not hinder their academic or internship work. In the Graduate School of Social Work, technology plays a significant role in both academics and internships. Students must navigate a number of different online access softwares, a learning management system, multi-factor authentication, off-campus access, and a specialized CRM system. So with all the potential technology-based pain points students might encounter in our program, how did we identify where they struggled most? In the summer of 2019, we launched a pilot program where 2 graduate students at the Graduate School of Social Work took on student roles called Tech TAs. They were available for walk-in, on-campus technical support during limited hours in our student computer lab. Over the course of the spring semester, the 2 students provided that support over 80 times. The logs they kept of the types of problems they assisted with informed the need for a more robust digital literacy intervention. Based on that data, the digital competency workshops were developed. The digital competency workshops were created and are currently housed in Bryn Mawr's Learning Management System, or LMS, Moodle. Moodle was chosen as an ideal location because students could easily access the portal off campus, and they already had some familiarity with Moodle, as their academic courses are housed there as well. The design was based off of Universal Design Principles and UX, or User Experience, methodology. We'll check out the design a bit more in depth during our tech demo. The structure of the workshops was intended to provide 2 different outcomes for students, depending on their needs. 1, a training to mastery objective that was built into a series of lessons, and 2, a frequently asked questions section for quick answers to identified stumbling blocks. The workshops have 4 learning modules, shown here, which divide these elements into sections. Those sections are Digital Survival Skills, Bryn Mawr Systems, Information Security and Privacy, and Digital Research. In each module, content is delivered in multiple formats to appeal to different learning styles for students. Each module consists of interactive lessons, graded quizzes, resources, and a student feedback survey. Now let's go check out the digital competency workshops. Okay, here is the front page of the digital competency workshops. We're currently viewing the learning environment as a student. First, let's quickly discuss how UX comes into play here. You'll see at the top here, there is a navigation guide to assist students. The navigation guide is built as a tool called an announcement in Moodle, so it will follow the student no matter where they are in the course. We'll start off with the FAQ. The intention is to make certain tutorials or quick answers as easily accessible to students as possible, with more complex structures being built into the modules themselves below. Let's check out the FAQ very quickly. We gave the FAQ section headers that mimicked students' typical questions around certain topics. The idea was not to use any technical language as much as possible in those headers and file names, so students could find what they were looking for, even if they didn't know exactly what that something was called. At the bottom of this page, you'll see a link to a presentation called Prep for Tech. Prep for Tech is partnered with the Digital Competency Workshops and is an in-person workshop, or, for this coming fall semester, a virtual one, that's part of student orientation and introduces the Digital Competency Workshops, answers any pressing technical questions students may have before classes start, introduces students to their tech TAs for the coming academic year, and gives students an overview of tech support available to them. Let's head back to the main page. You can see, from how we just navigated through the FAQ section, that the workshops are built on 2 levels. This front page is very short and provides primarily navigation and explanations of what each module consists of. Students can also see how involved a certain module might be based on the listings on the bottom right of each module block. As you can see for Module 1, there are 4 lessons, 1 feedback survey, 11 URLs, 3 files, and 10 pages. Students can also track their progress, which is recorded each time a student completes a lesson, downloads a tutorial document, or clicks on a URL. Now let's dive into a module. We'll take a look at Module 2, since it has the most lessons. As you can see, Module 2 has its own navigation guide underneath that main navigation guide. We wanted to keep functions very consistent across the platform. So, as I noted earlier, Module has 5 lessons. There is a lesson for each software system or access our graduate students will use during their program. In each lesson, students follow a fake student's progress and help the student navigate problems that arise in either access or use of each type of software. The lessons are narrated like a story, with our fake student as the main character, and navigation occurs through ungraded quiz questions students must answer. The answers to the quiz questions are within the story, and these quiz questions are ungraded because they are only designed to test processing and short-term memory. If a student answers incorrectly, they can see a screen explaining why their answer was incorrect, and students can retake the quiz question to move forward. Let's try out a lesson very quickly. Okay, so this lesson is logging into Bryn Mawr systems. What are Bryn Mawr systems anyway? Systems refers to the different software systems we use here at the GSSWSR. These include Moodle, Bionic, Microsoft Outlook, and Sonia. But before we get into each of these systems, what they do and what they contain, let's talk about logging in. Click Continue below to begin the scenario. So this main page here is very similar to other main pages that begin scenarios in other lessons. Okay, so now we start the story portion here. Kai Rasa is the fake student I referred to earlier. So here's the scenario. Kai Rasa is a new student at the GSSWSR. They've just finished attending orientation and are feeling overwhelmed from all the brand new information. Kai has decided to log into each of the Bryn Mawr systems to ensure they can access everything mentioned during orientation. As Kai looks at each of the different systems, they realize that each one requires a specific username in order to log in. To test their understanding of login terminology, Kai creates a matching game. Okay, here is an example of one of the interactive elements within these lessons to give students a chance to practice and process the information they're receiving. So for now, we've given them this information during orientation, but this may be the first time that they've attempted to place different logins with different systems. So, this is a matching game. Your Bryn Mawr login information enables you to access a number of Bryn Mawr platforms and systems. Some of the systems will need you to use your Bryn Mawr login information differently than others, so it's important to know what your login information is and how to use it. So, they choose the Bryn Mawr email address, and we will just answer these correctly to move through the lesson. That's their Bryn Mawr username, and here's a random non-username. Okay, and the student can submit. If they had submitted that incorrectly, they would have received a page like this but instead of correct, they would have received an incorrect response and an explanation would be given for each type of username. This is really important for our students because the different systems use those differently, and it can be difficult to remember. Okay, so here is a big point for our students that's typically a stumbling block. It's important to differentiate your Bryn Mawr email address from your username when logging into the different systems in Bryn Mawr. If you're having difficulty remember which systems use which, try this simple two-step troubleshoot. First, check the spelling on both your username and password before you click login. Sometimes a simple mistype is keeping you from logging in successfully. Second, try your username first. If you get an incorrect username or password error message, try your full email address instead. Some notes about login attempts. After 3 unsuccessful attempts, your account may be locked for security purposes. We also wanted to include this information here because not only is this something that occurs within Bryn Mawr, but it's also something that occurs regularly in other systems, maybe in work terminals, something they will experience throughout their life. So having that idea in your head that repeated attempts may lock your account versus just giving you a forgot password is something that's important for our students to remember. We also gave them a suggestion to download a password manager to help them manage the different passwords and remember when to use a username versus an email address, etc. We have a recommended password manager, actually a link to it in that additional resources section at the end of this module, which we will check out. Okay, so this section, we'll kind of move ahead a little bit here. This is about helping students create a password. Bryn Mawr passwords have very specific character numbers, minimums and maximums, and they need letters, numbers, and symbols. So we wanted to give students a way to practice that here so that when they're actually in the practice of changing their password, they know exactly how it functions and how to read those instructions. So we give them a chance to test it out here by checking out this fake password and giving a yes or no answer. So you'll see here this is only 12 characters. Voila. So only 12 characters, which means just violates. So if students had clicked yes because they hadn't counted the characters, it would have given them a more detailed explanation. Okay. This is the incomplete explanation that I added on here for you to see. So, congratulations on successfully helping Kai navigate their logins. If you feel like you've mastered it, why not complete this module and try out the master quiz at the end? We also have another additional resources plug here to bring students back to that additional resources section. And then they can click complete lesson and they'll get that grade. It's not an actual grade here, it's just a progress mapping. Okay, so let's go back to Module 2. You'll see my progress has been recorded for completing the lesson. So, those quiz questions that we answered in the lessons were ungraded, and if students get that incorrect answer, they can go back and retake the quiz question as many times as necessary. It's designed that way to ease students' anxiety around having quiz questions within the lesson. Okay, in contrast to the ungraded quiz questions built into lessons, there is also a master quiz, which we remember was referenced in the lesson, which tests understanding of all the current module's lessons. So this master quiz here, which is currently hidden from students, is going to contain quiz questions for all 5 of the lessons in Module 2. If students complete the master quiz with a 90% or better, they get a skill mastery badge, which students can download as an image. The mastery quizzes are a competency assessment for students, and because the workshops are currently optional, we included that external motivation via the badges. Alright, next, below here, you'll see a feedback section. We wanted to get student feedback, which is mostly a self-assessment for students to let us know whether they felt that their competency of the lessons in this module increased after taking the module or were unchanged or decreased. is mostly feedback about students' experiences of the module, which we would like to continue to incorporate into future iterations of the digital competency workshops. Finally, at the bottom here, you'll see that additional resource section that the lesson referred to. This section has the exact same content as the lessons, but it's divided into lesson content, alternative formats, and this more skills section. The lesson content is parsed out into online access tutorials, video content, downloadable how-tos, etc., in case students would prefer to do their own study rather than undertaking the lessons. The more skills section offers training not included in the lessons. We consider this material an advanced level beyond the foundational skills taught in the lessons, but it's still very useful to students. Okay, let's head back to the PowerPoint. Alright, now you've seen how we've developed our workshops in response to student need. Could your organization benefit from a similar framework? Here's a quick and handy checklist to start the discussion. What resources are available at your organization? Does your organization currently utilize technology that could sustain this type of framework, or would it need to be purchased? Are there staff available to create, design, test, launch, and manage the framework? What student or user resources are already available? Would they help supplement a learning tool like the digital competency workshops, or do they already fully support student needs? What's your organizational culture like? Would a learning tool be of interest to your students or users, and would it have support from administration and/or faculty? Thank you very much for coming with me on this virtual presentation and tech demo. I hope you found this information informative and useful. I'd like to quickly acknowledge the Bryn Mawr College LITS Digital Seed Grant that funded the creation of the digital competency workshops. I'd also like to thank MSS graduate Ali DiTucci, who provided research and content creation support. I'd also like to acknowledge the Digital Competencies program at Bryn Mawr College, the InfoSec security training program developed by Bryn Mawr College's LITS, or Library and Information Technology Services Department, which makes up most of the Information Security and Privacy module, and Moodle Shell assistance from Moodle administrators Jennifer Sporer, Director of Educational and Scholarly Technology, and Victoria Karasik, Educational Technology Specialist. Thank you.